Hi, this is Jim Padilla. I'm global impact strategist here to help you understand the game of scaling and sales. And in my episode of the Business Growth Architect Show, we will share the biggest secrets to being able to make massive sales in any environment.
Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. And welcome back. This is Beate Gillette, the host of the Business Growth Architect Show. Today, I'm here with Jim Padilla, who is half of a very powerful team that handles one of the things that most business owners love to hate or hate to love. It depends on what you look at it. Jim, I'm so happy you're here on the show. You're welcome to the show.
Beate, so much. Thanks so much for having me here. Really looking forward to the conversation.
So for somebody who does not know you, please tell them who you are, what you do, and why should we know about you?
Absolutely. Well, my wife and I, as mentioned, we have a powerful company that serves scaling entrepreneurs and experts with sales teams. And we have mastered the art of stepping into people's brands and being an extension of you and delivering a powerful, seamless experience that leads to sales. And that if people don't buy, that they stay around in your world because they feel served so that they can buy later, as opposed to a closing company where you send leads and they close sales, right? We don't believe in closing the sale. We believe in delivering an experience that leads to sales. And
so as we're going into the topic sales, I'm pretty sure that a bunch of our listeners already are breaking out in hives or cold sweats. So what is it about sales, Jim, that people have such a hard time with or completely misunderstand, or where they may plain miss the mark?
Yeah, well, I like that you said, literally, it was one of the words that popped into my head as you said them, where most people completely understand what it is that the objective of the game that we're playing here. You can't win a game if you don't know the game you're playing, right? And the game you're playing is not to sell products. The game you're playing is to help people make choices. And when somebody has a really good decision, and the word decision, the root word of the decision is to cut off, to kill off, right? So to decide is to kill off other options, right? And so your objective is to get people to kill off other decisions. You want them to either kill off the decision of staying in the pattern that they're in, or kill off the decision of changing things for the future, right? You want them to be really clear and be powerful so that they've made a great choice. And that requires simply that you're focused on them. Too many people show up on a conversation ready to sell your product, and your product is irrelevant until they've made a commitment to changing their problem in their circumstances. Once they've got that commitment, then you can start showing them options. But there are many times people are not quite at that level of commitment. And we think they are simply because they showed up to talk. And that's the first step, is really understanding that.
I like that. I like that simplification, because in my world, right, I think that when we go and I'm waiting a little bit talking about strategy, because I think this is such an important topic to talk about, because you say that without revenue, you don't have a business.
Correct.
And so sales is obviously the thing that, unless you master that, or unless you really handle that like a boss in your business, you are never going to be really, truly successful. So is it a mindset issue? Is it a bad salesperson experience issue? Where does it come from, the anxiety with sales?
Well, I think unfortunately, I actually blame it on the sales industry. I blame it on people like me. There's a sales expert, no matter where you are, you can probably throw a rock from wherever you're sitting and you'll hit a sales expert. They're everywhere. And I work hard on not being positioned that way anymore. I'm not a sales expert. We're a sales team expert. We're an outcome and experience expert. I'm a strategist. And here's the key. Most salespeople, think about this. How many times have you seen an ad for some kind of sales opportunity? We teach you how to sell. without feeling slimy. We teach you how to make more sales without being pushy or sleazy, right? It's always we as the sales industry, we have attached this to the solution. So
Oh,
you as the end user, you have no choice but to think sales is slimy because we tell you every single day that it is. It's like, hello, what are we focusing on here? So I don't talk about it. And it's not in my marketing anywhere. It's not in my messaging. We help scale you with sales teams. Scaling is a bad word in our culture. Sales is a bad word in our culture. So is money. We talk about all three from a very positive and aspirational perspective because I want you to want all three.
yeah. Because if sales were all bad, then why would people line up when a new Apple iPhone is being released around
Right.
the block with wait times of hours?
Right.
So there is something to be said. And I want to make sure that our audience, our listener really has this knowledge as we're going into the strategic part of selling, is because I feel that there is such a misunderstanding. You said something very powerful, is we first seek to gain an understanding of the problem of the person that we're talking to. So let's talk strategy and sales. So you say you're a sales strategist. Tell us what that means.
Yeah, well, I actually we've been working on this. We just had a whole new branding process that we've invested heavily in recently, and I'm a global impact strategist. I focus on making change that impacts the world. And one of the tools that we use is our business that happens to scale company with sales teams. But I also use many other mechanisms in my ministry and my other work and stuff. So I have a focus on helping you see the greatest opportunity for yourself and then putting a monetization process in place and a strategy that will scale it. So from a sales perspective, the first thing that you need to understand is that you're selling every day and you have been for your whole life. So this isn't something you need to learn. Sales is really about just moving stuff out of the way and then taking what's left, right? If you're married, you sold your spouse on marrying you. You sell your kids on eating their vegetables before they can go outside. You sell your friends on going to see a great movie. You sell your family on going to Chinese instead of Mexican. You sell all day. Right? Because you know how to move people effectively, you know how to get them to make a decision, you know how to make a case that matters, right? And you know how to tell people the truth, because that's all the sales is. It's not that complicated. It's when we get into a business setting and we think we have to get a client and we have to become this salesperson. We put on this hat and we start talking like a robot, or we start talking like following the script and doing all this stuff. And then you know why they're not buying from you? Because none of that stuff helps you be you. If you just show up and just be yourself, be the same caring, loving, challenging person who is a leader and who's sold out for their transformation, their change, their outcome, whatever that might be, they will buy from you because they will resonate with you. They will understand the conviction, clarity, and certainty that you have about the fact that they can change, that they should change, and that there's a reason for them, right? And there's something at stake if they don't.
I really love that because you are so right. This reminds me of something, Jim, that I've heard so many times in my life where people say, well, when I am at work, I'm a completely different person than I'm at home.
Yeah.
And I'm always going like, how is that even possible? Are you like
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of work. And are you like bipolar or something like that? So I think that if the stuff that, that you are good at or that you're comfortable with, if you're really passionate about Star Wars versus a zombie movie, and can you not take that passion, as you said, and move it over to the regular sales process? But there's so much that goes into it that I think people just the word sales makes them anxious. I've talked to my brother about this. I said, you need to get on the phone. I mean, you love this product and you're telling me how amazing it is. I said, why don't you get on the phone and tell other people that are actually going to buy it and tell them how great it is? And he says, well, that's not so easy. And I'm like, well, that's because you are shifting in this sales thing. So why do people believe that? I mean, I don't know if you have the answer for that, but why do people believe that when they are on the call, is it that they have to do the closing rate? Is it a closing ratio? Is it a self-esteem, a competitive thing? Is it a talking people into them something?
Yeah.
Is there psychology behind this?
It's a double-edged sword. Now, as a sales leader, I would be very remiss if I said, don't pay attention to your numbers, because we talk metrics every day in our company, in every area of our company. However, if whether you're converting at 10% or 90%, are you going to make more sales tomorrow? Yes. So all that is just a byproduct of, it's a measurement of the effectiveness that you've had. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't define you. So if you're converting at 10%, it just means you have to talk to more people. If you're converting at 90%, then it means that you can probably do more. Because if you're converting at 90%, it means you're probably not making enough offers out there, right? We want you to make as many offers as necessary that you can possibly fulfill on. Right. And then keep going from there. So the thing that you want to be focused on is understanding that the sales is not about you. It's not about your product. Nobody cares about your product. Nobody cares about your product. Please understand that. Your product is awesome. Your solution is great. It's probably packaged very poorly. And when it's packaged, that's called an offer. And sorry, guys, take this as it comes. Your offer sucks. That's why people don't buy it from you. Because it's not clear, it's not compelling, and you're probably putting it to all the wrong people because you haven't really dialed in the ideal avatar who's got a bleeding neck problem, who is seeking the very solution that you provide. When you put an ideal avatar with a bleeding neck problem, you put them in a prospect journey that moves them predictably towards the solution, and then you meet them with that solution with a can't lose offer, people buy. That is the outcome.
You make it sound so simple. So tell the audience who may have never heard of something like this. What is a bleeding neck problem?
Yeah, we say it just because it captures attention, right?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah, it's just like I'm already touching my neck. I'm going like everything okay here.
When you think about it like this, when was the last time you woke up and your neck was a little bit sore?
2 days ago.
Okay, great. Did you jump in your car, turn on the sirens, and sprint to the hospital?
No, I did not.
No, but if you woke up and you had a gushing neck, you look in the mirror and your neck was bleeding out the side, you would be running people over to get in your car or call an ambulance and get to the hospital as fast as possible because you need to solve that problem or you're going to die. Okay. Your business, no matter what the business is, every single one of your businesses has a bleeding neck version of the problem that somebody has. And your responsibility is to figure out what your offer truly is and what is the bleeding neck problem it solves. And that's the only thing you should be talking about. Everything else comes into play. Other people who may not have a bleeding neck, but they're concerned about having one, they'll still lean in and they're going to still be interested. But if you're trying to talk to all people who have a neck or maybe might get sore once in a while, the person with the bleeding neck problem is not interested in you because you don't come across like an expert.
Interesting. I love that. I love the way you talk about it. It makes it almost funny. And, I'm all for having fun when you do business. What is the point otherwise?
Right.
So sales and strategy. Is sales all strategy, or is sales, as many say, relationship building? Because we've heard so many different terms now.
Yeah.
Are there different sales strategies? You tell me.
Yeah, there are a lot of strategies. And here's the biggest challenge from my vantage point that, we've generated $250 million worth of sales. We do 25,000 sales conversations a year. We just see everything. We see stuff happens. And what we see at scale is that there's so many experts now, and they're all good. I have not come across anybody who's teaching something that doesn't work. There's a lot of fantastic experts out there. Problem is if you listen to something I tell you, and then you listen to something that someone else tells you, someone else about their offer, somebody else you talk about their landing page, somebody else you talk about their follow-up or their lead gen. Now, all of a sudden, you're operating bits and pieces from a dozen different strategies that were never designed to work together. And then you wonder why you're working twice as hard for half as much, right? So you need to make sure that you're following one overarching strategy that everything else falls into. And when you're clear on what your overall strategy is, right? We have everybody in our company, we have this 1-page strategic plan. If you can't hear it, you can't see it because you're listening, I get it, but it's 1-page strategic plan. And on this page is everybody in our company knows this is what we're operating from, right? It knows who we're working with, what's the bleeding neck problem, what is our promise, what is the solution, what's the revenue target, how many of what are we selling to get those revenue targets, what are the big rock projects and events that we're working from this year, what's our primary lead gen channels, and what is our cadence. And our cadence means like we do a webinar a week, a workshop a month, and a quarterly event. right? So everybody knows these are the things we're working towards. So if we bring in somebody who's a cold traffic expert, awesome. They need to be on this too, because they're not going to come in with their own strategy and screw this up. They're going to, where does your strategy or your process fit into our overarching plan of strategy? And then everybody's humming. Now, that way, now everybody knows what they're trying to solve for, and it makes it so much simpler. Now, even if you're a team of one, you should start this immediately. You should start this something, put everything on paper. What are you trying? Who, what, how, what's the solution? What's the promise? What are your offers that are going to get them there? Right? Because from this, you start building a system. And then when you have a system, it is so much easier to replace you. Right? First, you need an offer that doesn't have to be sold by you, because if you are the person who has to deliver this offer in order for it to make sense, then your offer sucks. Right? If you need a rock star salesperson to deliver this offer, your offer sucks. So you need an offer that a good salesperson who can follow a process and lead to somebody who's already got a bleeding neck problem or close to it, and match them with this offer that they can make sales for you. Now you're scalable. Now we can grow you and get you out of the way and start moving you to a place of prominence, because now you can be the person who's leading your movement, building your empire, making a difference in the world. Because I'm pretty sure you never got in business to have to make sales every day.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. This is Beate, the growth architect. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for your time. Have you ever wondered why your business is not growing as quickly as you would like it to be? Well, you may have a business growth blocker. And if you'd like to find out what that business growth blocker is, go and take our brand new quiz at growthblockerquiz.com. And in only a few minutes, you're not just going to find out what that blocker is, but also what to do about it. Again, go to growthblockerquiz.com. And now back to the show. No, and frankly, it's a, to send ships to sail or to create the leads, to operate the business. And it sounds like you're using EOS because you said rocks. So
familiar with them, but no, but very familiar. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so similar like that. So I agree with you that at the end of the day, it all comes down to what is your system, and your system needs to be built. You said the key word to everything is what I do with all of my clients. It has to be set up in such a way that you have people that are better at certain things than you are, so you can get rid of all these tasks, so you can focus on the one and one thing only, which is why you set up the business in the first place. So if you're a consultant and you're delivering, then that's what you should be focusing on, not on the calls, not on the webinar setup, not on the website updates, not on the Google SEO, not on any of that, but just what you're good at. So what is your favorite strategy when it comes to sales?
My favorite strategy is the ones that convert. But let me put it this way, from real simple, and I know this is I hate, everybody hates when I say this. Everything works and everything doesn't work. So I'm not saying anything about the ineffectiveness of someone else's another strategy. I don't know anything that converts better than a live event. A face-to-face, belly-to-belly opportunity to sell, meaning you in a room with other people with the power of a group and tribe and having a common shared experience with people. I mean, nothing converts like that. Now, to the degree that you can get that done in person, great. You can also replicate that online. And we have spent the last couple of years optimizing and getting as good, if not better, results in online in live events as well. So that's always a fantastic opportunity. The key is an educational experience that leads to an enrollment opportunity. That is what we call an event. That can be a 90-minute webinar, can be a 4-hour workshop, it can be a 3-day conference. It can be a launch, it can be a challenge. The event does not mean conference. However, again, anytime absent, that is my number one go-to. Anything outside of that, it's still this you and I, this replicates the belly to belly piece, right? We can still connect in energy. We can still have a good bond. We can still see each other. We can still talk. You still get a really good sense of each other. Mm-hmm. And we're having educational experience, right? That can lead to an enrollment opportunity. And that is the game. That's the game that we're playing all the time. What's the educational experience and what is the enrollment opportunity mechanism?
I like that. And you said something earlier that made me pay attention. You said that you just rebranded as a global impact strategy. So somebody cynical would now say, but wait a minute. you are helping people make sales.
Yeah.
So how does that equate to a global impact company? So there must have been
Absolutely.
a thought process behind that where you said, if we're an impact driven company, and we are an impact driven company, we help people to scale their impact and grow their authority. So I pay attention to these things. So what was the thought behind really making the global impact piece the hook?
Well, it's understanding, like, well, here's the big piece of it. At the end, the underlying message in here is that I got tired of being clever, and I just wanted to be clear and compelling, right? So clever is usually not understood very well, but we just want to speak to what it is we actually do. And our focus, my personal focus, is when I see people, I have an incredible blessing and ability to see the greatest version of who they are. How are you going to impact the world to this greatest level? I don't care about sales. I don't wake up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, does Beate have as many sales as she needs today? I don't care about your sales. What I do care about, are you making the greatest amount of impact? Are you reaching more people in the world that you want to? Are you showing up in a way that says, I've got this handled, and people know you're the go-to solution, right? And then we build a system, a strategy, and a process to monetize this, and then build the sales mechanisms in there. Sales is just a vehicle. That's not the end game. That's not what that's why I'm very intentional about not being known as a sales expert, or certainly not as a sales trainer. Not that there's anything against it. It's just, I don't want to be put in that box.
So, Jim, does it happen then when you talk to entrepreneurs, business owners, that you first have to work a little bit on their mindset so they get that hardcore, we got to close the closer mentality, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. So we've been trained to say your success is measured by closing. I mean, I just need to go to Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and somebody inevitably puts their graph up and says, we reached our goal, $1 million in only 30 days. So how do you help business owners to get their head screwed on right? Because mindset and expectation setting of impact making versus closing are such different energies. So how do you help them with that?
Well, unfortunately, I wish I learned this when I was 20 instead of, 10 years ago. I'm 53 now, but most people don't. It's a maturation process, and God bless those who can figure it out in their 20s. Revenue is a byproduct of impact. The more people you help, the more revenue you make. The bigger problems you solve, the more value you bring, the more revenue you make. It's not the other way around. Now, I spent the first 30 years of my life and my first 20 years in business chasing the dollar and trying to force my way in. And I made good money, but I also lost good money. Once we stopped and we started shifting and focusing on serving people, we've never made more money, right? And so is it important to have revenue goals? Absolutely. On this sheet right here, it says I'm going to make $10.9 million this year. And it says all the ways we're going to make it. How many of what are we going to sell to? So there's a dollar value that's in play here. However, we're focused on the hundreds of people, and our business model allows us to help people like you help thousands of other people, right? So we get to touch millions of people indirectly through our business model, right? And so that's the stuff that we focus on. That's what our team that's what drives them and gets them going. And it's really easy. I can hear them saying, I can already hear you guys saying this. Yeah, Jim, easy for you to say you make millions of dollars. I have to focus on actually making money right now. I know, but I promise you, I didn't start making millions of dollars until I started helping people first. That's how it worked. The moment I decided that I was going to use my powers for good instead of my own personal gain, everything started changing.
This is amazing. Did you actually, was there like an event or did you just one day say, this is good, but not fulfilling? I want more, and I don't know if there is, but was there something where you went, there had to be more for me?
Absolutely, there is. First of all, I grew up in an abusive environment. I was born to teenage parents and did the best they could with what they had, but they did not do well. And I was in foster care as a teenager. I was in the streets in gangs at 16, and I was in jail by 19. And I spent the first 20 years of my life literally spending every minute of every day working on how do I influence the room around me? How do I read the room so that I can bend people's will in my direction so that they won't want to hurt me, including my mother at home. I had to plan that every single day. So how do I not get beat today? And so you learn a lot about influence to a point where it's like a superpower, unnecessary, it's dangerous. And I used it for a lot of bad things. I conned a lot of people out of things. When I was in mortgage, I put a ton of people in bad loans because I made a lot of money doing it. And then I saw people, I met a woman that I put into a loan. She was 72 years old, put her in a loan she had no business being in. A year later, she lost her home. And I met her daughter at a gas station. And she said, "Thank you for everything you did. My mom lives in that car now. And you deserve everything you get. You're the devil, you're evil, and you deserve whatever comes your way." And I had nothing to say to her because I knew she was right. And she was telling me I was the devil in that moment. That's what I felt of myself. And in that moment, everything came to me as I've been influencing people for decades. And I had to learn how to take all of these things that I do and do them to serve people, because I never want to feel like I did in that moment ever again. And so I immediately started putting my sales system together. I literally just took everything out of the usual sales process, took everything out of it that makes you feel bad, left everything in that makes you feel good, and left everything in that is of service to other people. And now that's all I do. I'm not a hardcore closer. I don't teach it. I don't believe in it. I teach, help people tell the truth. Don't ever pull punches. If it's the truth, tell truth with love, and help people see clearly and powerfully that they need to do something about what's the situation they're in, because there are consequences if they don't. If you don't, then you're not telling them the truth, right? But everything I do now is of service and for them, which leaves me feeling great. So if you don't buy, I'm good because I did my part.
Very powerful. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is definitely a story that I'm sure was very tough to live in, as somebody who's experienced abuse of a different kind. I certainly can relate to that. Sometimes I think, we become who we are because there comes a point where there is a road where you have to make a decision and say, do I want to continue? Right. I've had this one conversation, and maybe you can relate to that, where somebody said to me, "Well, how did you do that?" And I said, "Well, I had to make a decision on who I wanted to be."
Right.
And then I made that decision, and then I became that person because I didn't like anything else. And so it sounds very much like you made that decision. Before we go into telling the audience how they can find you, I have one more question for you. So we know in marketing and in sales that pain point, or the fear of missing out, sells so much more and so much better than the promise of a positive future and outcome. How do you handle that personally?
Again, I will say, go back to the truth, all of the truth. That's the key. It's your job to tell the truth of what you see. When you're a salesperson, when you're a leader, which is what you are. If you have a marketplace of 100 people or 1 million people, you're the leader of that community. And as the leader of that community, it's your job to look them in the eyes and to look out into that community and tell them the truth. And the truth might be you're broken and you're missing things and you better fix them. Because like for me, this is a message I'm carrying right now. The business world right now is very unpredictable, very sketchy. And if you are not prepared, you will be at the mercy of people who are. You need to take the ownership and the duty and the responsibility to get yourself bulletproof with your sales process and system so that you will survive powerfully in these times, because everybody else is not prepared and they're going to be looking to you to lead them. Okay. That's the message that I got to share because it's the truth, right? I also can share if I see in you nothing but the greatest opportunity of what can happen. It's like, I know what you're capable of if you reach that mountaintop. And it's my job and duty to challenge you and equip you to be able to get there. Right. So your job, no matter what you're selling, is be a mirror and show them, here's what I see. What do you want to do about it? Right. Wow. And then they're at choice. They have to make a choice. You can't make a decision for them. However, it is your job as the expert of their problem to show them everything they need to make the best decision possible.
That is so powerful. I think that's why we're going to end it at, because this is really the essence of this interview. Wow. Not often speechless, but that was that really hit home. I think that the differentiation between understanding that marketing is not, or sales is not just about the use of powerful trigger words, but the genuine desire to serve people to get more of what they want. And sales
Amen.
is one of the vehicles to that. If we told a few people this today, Jim, you and I did a fine job here. So for somebody who now goes, OMG, Jim, where have you been? Where do they find you? What you got for us?
Yes. Well, please come to my personal website at jimp360.com, JIMP360.com. You'll find all of my social medias, videos, websites, find out how to work with us, find out how to work for us, podcast, all of that. Don't go through all of those things now. Just go to that site. And on the top button, there's a contact button, and you can, whichever way works best for you, push the text button, shoot me a text, and let me know that you're here. I want to build a relationship with you. I want to figure out what you're about and how we can serve you. Right. And I also like to send you a gift from being on this podcast, because we have a Rainmaker sales system, which is just a 6-step process, a tool that will help you put a system together that a salesperson will want to be able to follow, so that you don't have to go find superstar closers to be able to sell your product. And it's not going to cure all your problems, especially something for free. However, it will get you thinking in the right direction and getting the framework of a process in place. So text me, find me at jimp360.com, shoot me a text, give me your name and your email, and the Rainmaker sales system, tell me you want that, and I'll send that to you in a text.
Thank you so much for being here. This was absolutely awesome. I can't wait to talk to you more about sales off and online again. Thank you so much, Jim.
Awesome. Hey, you guys, thanks for trusting me to be part of your success team. What you do matters, and you deserve to be paid well for it. So go change some lives and make some money.
And there you have it. This is your host, Beate Chalette from the Business Growth Architect Show, and goodbye. And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Chalette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.